This is the first re-education camp podcast of 2024. Can you believe that? My name is Collin Miller, being joined by the incomparable, the lovely, the talented, I can go on and on, Ms. Karen O'Toole of the O'Toole clan back in the old country, or the old state, I should say. And Karen, what do you want to talk about today? I mean, it's 2024. Here we are. It is Orthodox Christmas. So I say Merry Christmas, even though I was born and raised Roman Catholic. I still like to celebrate. I like to celebrate along with Vladimir Putin. Really, is what it is. I feel like I was watching a video of him the other day from a few years ago, attending the Orthodox Christmas Mass, and it just looked like he could use a little bit more company. It looked like there was a lot on his mind, and I don't want him to feel left out during the most special time of the year. So that's part of the reason why I celebrate Orthodox Christmas as a Roman Catholic. I still have my tree up, by the way. That's not going down probably until the end of January. I tend to leave that up for a while because it's like, wait a second, I just got this thing up. I feel like I literally just got the ornaments on the tree, and then it's like, well, Christmas is over. Whoa, no, no. I'm leaving this. We're extending this a little bit because I feel like I never even really got into the full Christmas spirit. Did this feel? This felt like an odd Christmas, did it not? Or is it just me?
Yeah, well, up here back in the home state, as you call it, we finally got some significant snow. It was a little bit too much snow, in my opinion. That's why, because I had to shovel. But I I think yeah, because we had so much rain. Like we discussed previously on our Christmas show that like I didn't even end up putting a tree up because every weekend it was raining. Like every Sunday we record, and every Sunday it felt like we were getting a rainstorm. And
Same
we
here,
just couldn't,
actually.
yeah. Like I know just we had no, I mean, the DARPA or HARP, something's going on because oddly enough, Saturday into Sunday, we got a huge snowstorm. So it's just been a lot of precipitation on these weekends. We didn't even get the tree up, but we did take our decorations down yesterday. Um, but as you said, the Orthodox holiday is usually my marker. I'm like, okay, once we get to the Orthodox holiday, like we have enough time to take it, we can leave them up till then. But it's probably start time to start taking stuff down. I actually just like to take it down because it feels like clutter after Christmas. After New Year's, it's like there's just too much going on around here, so it had to go. But yeah, no, I like the Orthodox holiday. I used to think when I was in high school, I knew a kid who celebrated the Orthodox Christmas, and I used to think to myself like, wait, so you did you just extend your Christmas holiday? Like that's kind of the way I felt about it. Like I always told people like when I was an adult, I was going to celebrate the Orthodox holiday, buy my children all the gifts after everything went on clearance, and then let them take an additional week off school because they celebrated the Orthodox holiday. So that was kind of, and now I'm childless and a shell of what I expected for
Yeah, well,
myself.
you and me both, buddy. I was thinking yesterday that if I had a family, I would want to do. I think I would actually how I would give gifts would be I would actually celebrate the 12 days of Christmas because
That would be
I hate this
fun.
notion. It honestly makes me a little angry how like, oh, Christmas is just it's just Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It's like, no, Christmas is a whole season. All right?
Yes.
It's a whole season.
We should all be off for the month of December. We should just,
Exactly.
the whole country
Exactly.
should shut
There,
down.
there's the 12 days of Christmas, and I was thinking, like, yeah, that would be kind of cool to like give a gift each day, just like the song,
Yeah.
present a gift each day, and it can build, right? Like it can build, like you can
Yeah.
start off with something, and it'll build up to like the grand present, so to speak.
I'm gonna write that idea down and maybe try to be intentional this year and do that maybe for my husband and for the Christmas holiday.
You should.
Maybe this year is the year that you and Liz Hurley get together and you can gift Liz a different bikini from her own bikini line
You know what?
for the 12
I'll tell you
days of
what. I
Christmas.
I was I might not be on the bandwagon anymore because I don't know. I was looking at some recent photos And I'm starting to see the age in the face a little bit. And you know how like
Ooh,
when they get
oh
their eyes
yeah.
done, like it looks a little bit
It looks a little
artificial.
much.
Like you can tell it's an old lady that got her eyes done. And it's like I think I might be done with her in the new year actually, and moving on to greener pastures.
Greener pasture. Well, actually, we were talking about we want to talk about predictions today. We're going to talk about some Baba Vega. I don't really know how to pronounce her name. She's like this blind mystic that they always mention in the New York Post. Nostradamus had some predictions for 2024. And Colin and I also have some predictions, but I was talking to my husband while we were prepping some meals, and I said, I think we should come up for with a prediction for Colin for 2024 and Liz Hurley. And he was like, how about Colin moves on from Liz Hurley and joins my husband in his love for sexy Martha Stewart. So that's where my husband's at. He's just Martha Stewart. So you can graduate from Liz to have you seen these thirst trap pictures? Martha
Yeah, I was
Stewart.
actually I saw an Instagram post the other day. Fox News will post like these Instagram posts with like
Mhm.
these clickbait
Yeah, yeah,
headlines,
yeah.
so you have to like dig into it. Like there's not like a direct link you could click.
Yeah.
And
Insta.
she I don't know. She looks like
Like she's 85.
something very unnatural about her. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had conversations with folks because I've always been a big Martha fan in some way. And I think what happened with Martha is she was like so prim and proper for so many years. And I think she's just like, dang it. Like, I was really hot back in the day. And I think you lose a little bit of your mental faculties too. And she's just like, F it. Like, I might as well just like put myself out there and be sexy. Cause she was like in Illustrated too,
She
like a
was,
swimsuit.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of interesting. And I don't know if you saw, what's her name? Dolly Parton like was dressed up at this one of those football games.
I
And
sure did.
there's a Bible verse that talks about like you've made your daughters and your wives and your daughters into whores. And I would like to add to that Bible verse that America has made not only your wives, not only your granddaughters, but our grandmothers, not our daughters, but our grandmothers into whores as well. So that's America for you. So if I think that leads into our conversation about our predictions for 2024, that I would say America's probably pretty ripe for judgment. Like if we're going based on like, if you have any belief in like biblical pretenses, yeah, we might want to buckle up because I think we're kind of we're kind of getting into some dark territory here, but I mean there's a big election taking place in
What
maybe in
election?
this one election. I maybe there will be no election. Maybe you're right. Is that where you're going with that?
Can I say one more thing about Dolly Parton? Because my mind is still on
Oh.
Dolly Parton because I
Oh, okay.
saw
Yeah. Yeah, go
I saw
ahead.
a very disturbing video of her the other day that was brought to my attention that made me lose a lot of respect for her. And I shouldn't be
Wow.
surprised since I mean, come on, she's in with the whole she's got to be in with the whole Hollywood clique, right? I mean, she's a
Yeah.
multi-gazillionaire. Anyway, this was back
Multi-gazillion.
during the COVID vaccine rollout. I don't even know how much I could say on YouTube, really. I mean, this might get us deplatformed, but I saw a video of her where she was shilling for the vax, and what she did was she changed the lyrics of Jolene to vaccine, and it was one of the top 10 cringiest things that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And it just made me really lose a ton of respect for her as a human being. Not that I ever really thought about Dolly Parton all that much, to be honest with you, but any respect that I would have had for her is completely gone. But God bless her for dressing up in the Cowboys cheerleader outfit, and I wish her well. But
I wish you
I just had to get that out of my system that I saw that video, and it's just sad. But
Yeah. Yeah.
2024, boy. Uh, now, do we want to keep these predictions more on the lighthearted side, or do you really want me to tell you like what I think is going to happen?
Maybe we should do both. I think that like I'd like to say that I predict that Donald Trump will be elected. I believe was the 47th president of the United States because he will both 45th and 47th. And he's
And
going to be
46th.
and 46. Well, he should have been, but he will be declared the winner and he will walk from jail because he will be jailed. He will march from jail in the DC gulag to the White House and pardon himself and then declare as vice president Hunter Biden, vice president of the United States. So, I mean, and then immediately imprison the rest of the Biden family. So, like, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I know that there's like people legitimately out there, like journalists, like people with much bigger voices than us that really do believe that, like believe that Trump will be like, basically imprisoned and then declare himself pardoned as he
Too
goes
obvious
in
of
the
a
White
prediction,
House.
though, I
But
think.
I don't know. I don't there's part of me that thinks that like the Democrats do want Trump to be like they not elected, but the nominee. Because I think that they believe that he has so much toxicity, so much bad press, and so much behind him that like even he will not beat Joe Biden. So who's essentially the corpse in chief. So there's a part of me that thinks that like perhaps they really do want Trump to be the nominee once again, but I'm not really sure. There's a lot of you see a lot of energy behind Nikki Haley, which is I mean,
Yeah.
I will if Nikki Haley becomes the nominee, I'll vote for Joe Biden. I'm
You
just
know,
gonna come out and say it. I will literally vote for Joe Biden.
I just have to go here because it's me. Do you think she's a good looking woman? I don't think she's bad looking, really.
I
And
think she's a good looking woman. Yeah,
I might go out on a
definitely.
date
She's
with her
hot.
actually, even though she's
Yeah.
like a globalist, warmongering, bloodthirsty, you know, this and that. I think she's got a nice face.
Is she taller than DeSantis?
Oh well, who is Karen? I mean, you're
Is
taller
he
than
really that short?
DeSantis.
How short is
Yeah,
he?
he's a little guy. Well, okay, if I'm being, he's probably 5'8". I don't think he's like
He's not that
circus
short.
midget
She's probably a tall
little.
woman. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's probably a tall lady. But yeah, no, she's definitely good looking, but
I just wanted to
not.
confirm that because I always
Okay,
thought
yeah.
she was, but
Yeah.
I did. I'm like, am I weird for thinking that she's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
foxy in a sense? I don't know what it is with me
I
and
mean,
like these
really,
old
what
women.
isn't this is yeah.
I have a problem. I'm
Colin is
sorry.
looking for you're just like broadcasting it because you're like, please, there's got to be some wealthy woman who's going to stumble upon this and want me to live at her Palm Beach mansion and just like yell at her staff for her all day.
Yeah,
And
she
that's,
has to stay
I
in
mean,
good
that's my
shape
total.
though.
Yeah.
You
She's
have
got
to
to
be
make sure
doing
she goes to
yoga
the gym.
or
Yeah.
Pilates or
Pilates.
something.
Yeah.
Keep that
You don't want to
midsection
just,
tight and taut because I'm a very shallow man too. I was just discussing this with my mother today, how shallow we are, when when it comes to looks.
yeah.
And that's a part of my problem. But listen, in all seriousness though, I don't think that the real excrement is going to hit the fan until Trump wins. I do think he's going to win. I
Okay.
think that they're going to try and steal it, but the landslide's going to be so big that there's no amount of mail-ins. Like they're essentially going to run out of ammunition, so to speak,
Yeah.
and he's going to win. But the real excrement is going to hit the fan during that. God, how many days is it before like he actually would take office? Like 60 days, like some ridiculous time period.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in those 2 months or whatever. I think that's when they're gonna pull whatever it is that they're gonna pull. I don't think it's gonna happen until he actually wins and there's that period of that lame duck period. You know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
last
That
couple
and those
months.
those days in
That's
between.
when they're gonna wait to pull something. They're gonna see if they can steal it first, and if that doesn't work, that's when they do whatever it is they're gonna do. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in a lot of states, they're trying to keep him from being on the ballot, but I think that that's mostly not going through. I think a lot of that is just to give him bad press and to make it seem like, oh, he's not even a viable candidate. Why are you even talking about putting Trump on the ballot? I did see that DeSantis said if he does not beat Trump in the Iowa caucus, he is going to pull out of the race.
I saw that
So
headline. Did he
yeah,
say
yeah.
that?
I
Is
don't know.
that
I don't know if he
confirmed?
said that. I think that's a report. A lot of reports are made. So maybe that's just talk that's happening behind the scenes. But I mean, like, let's be real. If you look at the polls, and I know that polls can kind of be, they can be, confusing or put you on the wrong track. But I think for the most part, like Trump is the candidate. Like, let's be real. He's like, his polls are like 57% ahead of any other candidate. And then I mean, I can't even like, I don't even blame him for not showing up to the debates. Like, I kind
Why?
of,
Well, why would
why
he? It's a
would
total
he?
waste. First of all, these debates in general, it's not a debate. It's not like
Yeah, it's
you're being
advertisement money. Yeah.
you're not being asked any real pertinent questions that anybody cares about. It's just a thing for the donors to sit in the audience and clap, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's all nonsense. It's just bread and circus. And you know what I've been thinking lately? I think, call me crazy. Am I crazy? But I think there's a real possibility that Trump is going to announce Tulsi Gabbard as his VP.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, is there any indicators that make you think that, or you just like that
Just
idea?
I've been hearing some buzz.
Oh,
I've
okay. You
been
got some
feeling some.
inside info.
Yeah,
Some
I've been
Trump
feeling
camp.
some electricity in the air. I think that would be awesome actually. Could you imagine if like she became vice president and then like Hillary, what a slap in the face to Hillary.
To
Like
Hillary. I would love that. Actually, I wanted to bring into the mix. Have you ever heard of Kim Clement, the singing prophet?
that
I,
name
I
sounds familiar.
so my uncle, my late uncle would always make us watch these videos when Trump was like getting elected and got elected of this singing prophet who would like he had like a ministry where he would go to different churches and like do this whole like he would like play piano, but he would also like prophesy.
Would he play
And
it the
there's
way
like
Zelensky played the piano, or
no, he was
no?
a little bit more distinguished than that.
Oh,
But
okay.
that would be a pretty interesting church service though. But he has this like video where he was like Trump shall be a trumpet. And I honestly like don't know enough about it to speak that um broadly about it, but he also said multiple times like two terms. And my uncle Mike would always be like, two terms, two terms. Kim Clement said two terms. Kim Clement also prophesied that he would be like, he died before I think Trump even got into office, but he like predicted this years. I don't know if some of his other prophecies didn't come true, but needless to say, I know there's a lot of people that kind of follow his um, prophetic word, and he said two terms. So there is a chance that maybe Trump will be in. There's also a chance that Trump might be the Antichrist. So we're kind of putting all the cards on the table. I think I'm a little bit more Trump could be the Antichrist camp than you are. I think you're less
Yeah, because I don't know. I just think that the actual Antichrist is going to be a little more of a smooth talker, shall
good
we say,
point.
a bit
Yeah.
bit more polished, not so rough around the edges. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, he's going to have to make like a deal with Satan. So like perhaps honestly, I like maybe Trump could change a little bit, but personally, I think with Trump, he's a little too old to be really that person. But I don't know. I do want to say that friends of mine recently told me that their mom told them that Obama could be the Antichrist. And their mom, I was like, wow, your mom is so much cooler than I thought she was. And they were like, no, she's not. But in my world, the fact that she was telling them back then, I didn't realize like I thought their mom was a lot less into that kind of thing. Like I didn't think she was on the fringes as much. I thought she was like a much more mainstream individual. And when they told me that, I just she gained many points in my book. I was like, wow, that's a woman I can hang out with. That's a woman that I can praise.
Why is he the only president that stayed in Washington, D.C.? He's the only
Yeah,
one that stayed there, like to
preach.
to run shit,
Yeah,
obviously.
to run.
Like how could
Yeah, we know
anybody like
Biden's not. That guy can't run freaking, he can't even run to the bathroom, okay? Like, come on.
like I feel like people actually believe though that Obama was like, well, Michelle, this is a nice neighborhood. I think
Yeah.
we should stay here and
Yeah.
raise our family. And like, come
Yeah.
on, what do you think?
I mean, well, come on. Anybody that, like you said, anybody that has any idea knows that, like, and they even said, like, the New York Times and the Washington Post reported that, like, pretty much everybody that was in Obama's White House just like showed back up. They're like, hey, we're here again, which is,
Right.
I mean, you have to understand too that there's like a lot of people who just, this is what they do. There is an element of just a lot of creatures. Like we saw this with Trump's presidency, where like suddenly these people that had not like Trump made all these crazy appointments that were like kind of funny. Like he like Rex Tillerson is like secretary. He's like Exxon Mobil
Yeah.
CEO, and he's like,
Yeah.
all right, you're going to be charged to,
Jeff
the foreign
Sessions was the
Jeff
attorney general, is just
Sessions.
obsessed with pot. Like that's his entire life's mission is to lock up anyone who touched a joint in their life.
Yeah. He was like an Alabama leprechaun or something like that,
Mhm.
obsessed with marijuana. But
That's a good band name, by
so
the way. Alabama Leprechaun playing at the
there is
Roxy
there
tonight.
actually was like a leprechaun. There's like an old video back when like video really took off. There's an amazing video of the Mobile, Alabama leprechaun. And like this whole neighborhood in Mobile, Alabama was like convinced that there was like a leprechaun that lived in under this tree. Anybody listening, please, if you're not familiar with this video, look up Mobile, Alabama leprechaun. It's so good.
Was it Jeff
But
Sessions?
it was, yeah, it was Jeff. Yeah, spoiler alert, it's Jeff Sessions. He was looking for their marijuana, but like after Sessions was gone, Tillerson was gone. All these people got either left or were kicked out. Suddenly, these like creatures from the Black Lagoon showed up that were like Bush era, just swamp creatures, and they just showed back up and were like, all right, we're here to actually run this thing. And you understand what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
I think with like the Obama Biden administrations, like that's just what these people do. Like they go to work in policy think tanks and then they show back up when the administration's there to
They
come
should find real
run the real show.
jobs, like,
Yeah.
at like a Target or something,
Yeah.
or, you
Yeah, like
know,
a coal mine or something. Yeah. We love
yeah,
talking. We got if we
yeah.
don't go, we every show we must mention coal. Like we have to mention work in something about coal mining. But because that's our history. That's
I have a
our
lot of people in my family who are borderline obsessed with coal mining and mines, and
it gets into you. It really does.
I guess so.
But you're right. Like how many of these people like they just have like these cushy like think tank jobs, just like doing absolutely nothing. And then they just like you said, like get back into just being creatures of the swamp. Like
And how do you
it's
get that? Like, can I get that? Just like, you know,
like a $300,000 a year job to just like talk about nothing all day, just like policy,
I
whatever
always
that
say to
even
my
means.
dad, like, why couldn't you have made me the head of an energy company in the Ukraine?
Ah,
Like,
ah,
the only thing you can
dad.
offer me is, yeah, I talked to my friend the garbage man. He said he can get you in, if you want. It's not what I'm looking
I
for.
actually I want to make a moment in praise of nepotism. I just want to say that like people get so bent out of shape about nepotism, but like let's be real, like you mostly do what your family did for a lot of people. Like if you had a company, what are you going to make your son go like you said go work as a garbage man? Like no, you're going to be like you're going to work in my company. Like that makes sense. Why would you do anything different? Like that's
Right.
absolutely crazy to me, but that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to just defend nepotism all day, although we are not benefiters of nepotism whatsoever. Like we have
No.
not no. Like there's nothing, yeah. Like I'm almost like I'm not even related to these people.
Yeah, you're your own animal, so to speak. right?
Yeah, like we're just making your way in the world. I did want to talk about not Nostradamus 2024 predictions revealed. Brace yourself for more war and famine. That's like something to look for. I do want to just say I feel like 2024 has like a nice ring to it.
It
Like
does. It does. It has a
yeah.
rounded sort of a ring. Um,
Yeah. 2023 is like not it. Like
yeah, it's a little
2023 ugh, like
that yeah, that felt like jagged. When you say 2023, it kind of has an edge to it, whereas 2024 is a bit more browner, rounded, warmer, so to speak. And I don't know. What if this year is just kind of chill? You know, what if all these
yeah.
horrible things don't? Maybe they won't. Maybe this year will just be very bland and drab and dull and humdrum. Wouldn't that be something like a nice change of pace?
Well, I know that Mark Zuckerberg is building a huge underground bunker in Hawaii. I
Oh
was listening to
shit.
a
Never mind.
podcast where
Never mind.
another
Forget
tech
it.
overlord
Oh,
had gifted his family for Christmas. He gifted them a bunker and like even for his dog had like a radiation suit as
oh,
well.
for Christ's sake.
So I think that a lot of, yeah, so it's like the dog's getting in. Rufus is getting in, but the other people, he's going to shoot them as they're trying to get into his bunker.
He's gonna have
He's
an
like, the
MG set
dog,
up
yeah. Yeah.
like in Saving Private Ryan when the guys were getting off the boat. Oh my Lord.
So, and to be honest with you, I kind of think, I wonder if the bunkers are not necessarily for nuclear conflict, if they're just like to protect themselves from like the plebeians like ourselves from like when we're warring with each other and eating each other and killing each other, they're just going to go into their bunkers. Like, I wonder if that's like the fear. It's not necessarily a fear of, I guess nuclear
Well,
war is part of the fear. I guess it's all just a fear, right? Like, if you're
that was
building a
always my
bunker,
thought. Like, what are these bunkers made out of that they're gonna provide shelter from the weapons that I mean you gotta realize like the nuclear weapons that we have today this is a little bit above Fat Man and Little Boy, you know, from World War II, you know, the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These make those look like, you know, remember those snappers you used to get as a kid that
yeah,
you would toss.
yeah, just
That's what they make those look like. So, like, what the hell are these bunkers made out of that they're going to provide any shelter? Like, how far, you know, below the earth would they need to be in order to provide shelter from the weaponry of death that we have constructed in this day and age? I mean, I don't know the answer. I don't think you know the answer either. It's just kind of a
yeah. I
rhetorical
my
question.
my
I don't
thought
know.
is like I don't even know if I want to. Like, we just got done, saying New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we usually watch The Twilight Zone. There's a lot of great episodes that kind of explore the idea of like a nuclear holocaust and like what it would be like if you survived. And I just think to myself, like, I don't know if they really want to be here. Like, I'm like, if I get just taken out in a ball of light and just a flash and blaze of glory, like, and
Would you feel
it's pretty
anything?
quick. Do you feel anything? Yeah, it's like it's over. Who
That's
cares?
my
Like,
biggest concern is like I don't want to feel any
yeah,
pain whatsoever.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
even all that concerned
exactly.
about it happening. My concern is just the pain that I may or may not
Yeah.
feel when I see the flash
Yeah.
outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like, to me, I always say to people, like, once a Keurig goes, I go. Like, if I gotta sit there and like get up every day and not have coffee, like, I'm not building a shelter. I'm not foraging in the woods and I'm not hunting deer with sticks. Okay. Like, that's where I'm done. The Keurig's gone. I'm gone. Like, I don't want to exist. So I wonder, that is a good question though. I wonder like what the coffee situation is in Mark Zuckerberg's bunker and like how many days of coffee does he have? Like,
Probably
that's
those
the real
freeze-dried
question.
crystal things, you
Yeah. And
know,
does that
I would
even taste
imagine.
that good? You know what I mean? Like, is that even, I
I
joke.
who knows?
I know I say all this, but I kid. Like, I really kid because I think, I mean, like, I've experienced my own life. Like, once you are really faced with your own mortality, you really do want to live. Okay. Like, I always tell people that, like, unless you are at a real, like you're at a point where you are ready to go, because I've witnessed that where people are like, all right, I'm done. Like this is enough suffering.
Yeah.
Like I've lived a good life. I'm ready to go. And almost like Christ, like they give up the ghost,
That was my
right?
grandmother. She wasn't even really
Yeah.
suffering that much either. She was just kind of like,
She's
all
just
right.
like, all right, get me
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
But
She
I'm
had
like,
just had enough. It was
yeah,
enough already. She
but
had
I
done everything.
definitely, yeah, she was just like, I'm good. Like, see you guys later. She probably just knew it got worse from there. Like, she was like,
Yeah.
I'm not at the point where I really have to suffer. Like, but that's pretty much where this is going to go. Like, I'm
Hmm.
going to have less quality of life.
Yep.
But well, I've witnessed it with like other people and I've experienced myself where it's like, no, you fight. Like, you really do fight. And I do feel like if I had to forage, if I had to live off the land, like I'm going to. Like I'm going to try. That will to survive is like divine. There's something divine about us. And I know that like we joke about it, but like something does kick into overdrive. But I don't know if we've had this conversation, but I always say to people, you see a lot of these people out there that they like are big time like preppers, and they're always like, I've got all this freeze dry stuff for 10 months, enough bullets to take out every communist that comes through my door, but the thing that they don't prepare for, which I've realized is actually the biggest preparation you need, and it's mental, like mental preparation. And I'm not saying like there's nothing that can really prepare you for like a post-apocalyptic world, or like the collapse of civilization, right? Like there's nothing that really, like how are you going to prepare for that? Like I know some people think that they do, but I really feel like you can have all of the resources put away, you can have all of the skills, but there's something about having hope when there's so much despair, um that doesn't come easily, like there's a book called Man Searched for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, where he writes about, he was a therapist that was Jewish, and was imprisoned in one of the concentration camps. And he wrote a book about his experience in the concentration camp. And then he also wrote like the second part of the book is about logotherapy that he like came up with. And it's basically like you choosing your attitude in your situation, whether or not, no matter how dire the situation is. He wrote, we have one, you cannot take away this one freedom from a man, and that freedom is to choose your attitude. And I can see Colin sitting there thinking, like, I have always choose the best attitude.
Oh, well, I'm Mr. Positivity, look on the bright side, as you know from, I mean, how long have we known each other now? Long time. I think that's one thing that you should know about me now, that I'm always looking
Yes.
on the bright side of things. I
Always Steve on the bright side of life, as Monty Python would say.
I do often ask myself the question, because I joke around a lot with you, and I always say, well, work would be canceled, obviously, if there would be no, like if there was a cyber pandemic, as Klaus Schwab has alluded to time and time again, or if the power grid went out. I often think to myself, well, Mad Max or humdrum rate work, Mad Max. I'm kind of, I know I'm saying this now. I have no idea how I would even fare in a situation like that, but I lean towards accepting the Mad Max scenario, because I'm innately the type of person where I do not like to be told what to do by any other entity whatsoever. And just like the very concept of like a boss or a supervisor like hailing me, like, here's, there's something about that will always stick in my craw. I don't know what it is. I can't accept that's I can't swallow that. So I think I would choose the Mad Max world over
Yeah.
the humdrum 9 to 5 work world, because at the very least, nobody's going to be telling you what to do. You're just going to be trying to figure out how the hell to survive, from minute to minute. That sounds, I say this as I'm sitting here right now in my cozy little office with the cat sleeping in the bed. That sounds better to me overall than having another entity or human being tell me what time to show up or what to do. Or does any of that make sense? You probably think I'm nuts. Well, I know you do, but
I just can't wait for like Toe Cutter to come like running up, rearing up my street on his motorcycle. Like Toe Cutter is like one of the greatest characters of all time. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, like the point I was making about before about all this is just that like people, as like Viktor Frankl wrote in his book, that like a lot of people they pretty much died deaths of despair because like they would think that the Americans were coming on a certain date and then they wouldn't, and it was just like they had such a sense of hopelessness. They kind of just gave up. Like they were just so overwhelmed. And I think that there's a lot of people who think that they're going to like do all this preparation, they're going to be like so badass and everything, but really it's like how you handle what's going on inside of your head that really like determines your fate. Is really, if you can't control your thoughts and your mind, like you're in a lot of trouble, because like I said, the Keurig's not working. That's a lot of hard, it's a very difficult task. But what you were saying, to your point, I understand what you're saying. And I think really what that boils down to, I was reading, I can't remember the author's name, but the book is The Psychology of Money. And he did like this research, and he realized that like most people, they feel a level of stress, like chronic stress, if they are not in control of their own time. And I think that that's actually what you're really saying. Like, I don't think you even realize what you're looking for and what stresses a
you
lot
could
of
say
people
that
out.
again in
Yeah.
like every area of life. I don't know what I'm looking for.
I
I'm
don't know what
looking for something.
looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
But no, I think that like what you're saying is that, and I feel like this is the, because when I heard this, I was like, this is me. Like I do not like that, like I'm not in control of my own time. That's like I wake up and then like Monday morning, like here we go. Like I gotta go do this for this person and feel like this is all so pointless. And
Pesky. It's
yes, is very
very pesky.
messy. Yes. But like, but a big part of it is because like you are not in control of your own time. Like you are expected to be here and be there and do this and do that. And it all feels very like pointless at the end of the day. And um yeah, I feel like most people that feel that way. I feel, and not necessarily that it's a bad thing, but it gives you some kind of stress. Like it gives you a level of stress. And really in this book, I think he's trying to emphasize and encourage people to be good with their, be prudent with their finances so that they can give themselves and allow themselves to have a greater sense of freedom. Because once you have some kind of financial independence or have some kind of financial standing, you can kind of choose which job you want and which job you don't want, is what he's essentially saying. Like, for instance, his father was a doctor, and even though he made really good money, he kind of was um, very conservative, and they did not live a very lavish lifestyle. And that kind of confused him when he was a teenager. But as an adult, his father was an ER doctor and he decided to retire at a younger age. But the only reason he could retire is because he was conservative with his money. Now, we are living in an age where we will be seeing the onset of the digital dollar, the Fed coin is coming, and we probably won't. I mean, really, the system that we live in probably won't even be the same finances and currency that
I'm
we're
not
living
signing
in.
up
Yeah.
for that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I encourage anyone who's listening, once you get that little pamphlet in the mail, encouraging you to sign up for the CBDC, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
you're essentially digging a portal to hell if
Yeah.
you do that.
I mean, the point of Bitcoin was supposed to be decentralized. So no one was controlling your money. It gave us greater autonomy. It took less it took power away from the banks, from the Federal Reserve, from the governments, from the big credit agencies. And now it's just like the government is trying to co-opt that, trying to destroy, like decentralized currency. And of course, just make everything more horrible for all of us. It's actually, it takes like our currency and like essentially the Fed coin takes our surveillance state and puts it on steroids. It's essentially like it's the beginning of the end. Like
Well,
once
the
we're,
central banks are going to
yeah,
tell
yeah,
you what you can and cannot spend
okay.
your money on, basically.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Like I want to spend it on hookers and coke, and that's what I want to do.
I think that's a good thing to spend your money
Yeah,
on,
I think they would.
actually.
Yeah, I think they would be in favor of that personally. I mean, look at Hunter Biden, like one of our nation's own.
Yeah. And there's going to be an element to this too, where if you go to the money machine to try and make a withdrawal, there's going to be a message that pops up and says that you have to go and delete that comment that you made on Facebook, or delete that meme that you posted, or else you're not getting the money. You know what I mean? I mean, they're going to be monitoring any sort of social media accounts that you have, and there's going to be certain things that you can say, and certain things that you cannot say, and certain memes that you can't share. I mean, look at that guy who got. There's that guy who is making memes about Hillary Clinton in 2016, who's going to prison. You know what
Yeah,
I'm talking
going to
about?
prison. Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't. His name escapes me right now, but yeah, he just shared a meme, and they decided it was like government. It was election interference, correct? And it
yeah.
was just this like fake joke meme he made that like what they were going to give money out Hillary Clinton. Like it was just a total sarcastic joke. And like you said, they were sending him to prison for it. So, but I'm sure if it was like a Trump thing, they would have just like excused it, like, oh, whatever. We don't even. That's fine. Well, who,
Well, MAGA terrorism is the greatest threat to our nation and our democracy.
Yes.
They keep. Why do they keep saying that we live in a? Have we ever lived in a democracy since you've been alive? I,
No,
is
no. I think we live in like a semi-socialistic corporatocracy. I mean, if you really think about it, like these corporations are like their own countries. Like they have like their employee size is essentially like the size of some small countries.
Yeah.
And I do think that like we just have like a bunch of corporate overlords that are working as an oligarchy with our leaders. And no, I feel like that's as we mark January 6th this weekend. I mean, I feel like a lot of that is the energy that and really the reason behind one of the greatest reasons behind what took place on January 6th is that a lot of people do not feel like they have a democratic voice and any real representation in the government. So yeah, no, absolutely. I don't
I
feel
guess what I was
like
getting at though is
um,
that it's supposed to be a constitutional republic, is it
republic.
not?
Correct. Correct.
Isn't
It is
isn't
supposed to be
democracy
yes.
really what's that old saying? It's the tyranny of the 51%, right?
Yes. Yeah. The tyranny of the majority.
Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
so anyway,
Well, I think that's why one of the reasons why Trump is so popular too, amongst a lot of people that maybe wouldn't be a fan of his, because I think he really just, I think that some people just like the chaos of Trump. I think that there's a lot of people that are just like, this isn't working. It just seems like it's just bought and paid for the people at the top. And like, I'd rather just see ruckus and just see chaos rather than voting for the same old, same old. So, yeah. And I think that there's a lot of, I can kind of get on board with that. I can see why people aren't in favor of that. And you have a lot of people that the way the corporatocracy, the establishment works for them. So of course they want to keep it in power. Of course they want Nikki Haley. Why would Lockheed Martin and Raytheon not want anybody else but Nikki Haley or Joe Biden? It's more war, more money, so their children can go to $50,000 a year private high schools, so they can buy another house in the Maldives. Like, of course that's what they want. So I mean, it's just, I mean, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. I kind of wish I could just be I wish there's a part of me that just wishes I could know nothing.
Yeah, there's a
That I
part of me
yeah.
that wishes I could have my own private island somewhere on like the Virgin Islands, and
Yeah, there's part of me
have
that just wishes I was a military contractor.
like, wouldn't that be something to have your own island and you can bring all your friends and family there and you can have your own little commune of sorts where one
Yeah.
person, has the garden and then the other person is the the blacksmith. I'm just pulling stuff out of my head. I don't
Yeah.
even know what I'm talking about.
The locksmith. Who
Yeah, the
knows? Yeah, yeah.
locksmith. Yeah.
One is a
Yeah.
mixologist who brings you pina coladas. Yeah.
Everybody
One
has like a
is
job on the
yeah,
island,
everybody has a job.
and we all kind of work together and
Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, I just wish that like I kind of didn't realize like how awful some things are. It's the as Charles Dickens wrote, it's the best of times, it was the worst of times. And that's kind of how I feel. Like I feel here I just want to share this because I feel like there's a lot of people that maybe can relate to this. And by a lot, I mean like no one. But there are a lot of us like kids that grew up like as evangelical children or maybe Catholic, some of you Latin massers. You grew up like
extremists.
like being told that like it was the end of the world and like the rapture was coming and that's the end of times and the apocalypse and like the mark of the beast
I
and like
remember being
all
told there
that
was
good
going to be a
stuff.
red cross in the sky. I remember like that
Yeah.
that that was something around my
Yeah.
grandparents' dinner table that would come up how this red cross is
Yeah.
going to appear. Yeah.
Yeah, all that good stuff. And like so like you kind of grew up with it. So I am 33 years old. I will be 34 this year in the year of our Lord, 2024. But like I think that there's a lot of us who kind of grew up maybe like like in the 80s, 90s, maybe I don't think the 2000s so much because things kind of like Y2K came and went and I think people kind of like lost their excitement as a
That was a
millennia.
bummer, man, when nothing
Yeah,
happened. That was
yeah.
such a like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like we literally had video from the year 2000. My mom recorded, and my little cousin is like, my mom's like, "What do you think will happen?" My cousin's like, "I think that there will be a Russian man who will be the Antichrist." Like my 12-year-old cousin is like saying this on this recording. So it's like, so it's kind of like that's the what's the word? Like that's what I'm kind of talking about. For any of you people that grew up kind of thinking like, oh, the world's coming to an end, like we're going to be the apocalypse, there's going to be the rapture, like all these things are and forces are coming together. And then like you go through your 20s and you're like, all right, like that didn't really happen. And then you're like in your 30s and you're like, well, yeah, no, that's still didn't happen and now I'm kind of poor.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, wait a minute, what am I'm starting to get wrinkles? Like, what the hell is going on here? So like, but what I want to say is, so I think like we went through our 20s or maybe some of these people that can understand me or maybe you're in your 40s, so you're feeling this a little bit more than I am. But like I feel like a lot of us went through all that and then you're thinking like, "Oh, I don't really need to plan for the future. I don't really need to think about the future because like I'm getting out of here. Like we're getting raptured. We're going to be good. See you later, Earth."
Yeah.
And
And
so
then nothing happens and it's like,
and
oh,
then
well,
nothing happened.
shit. Why did
Yeah,
you
like
build
I
this
have
up
to
then? This shouldn't have
I
been built up. Like,
yes, yeah, exactly. Like, so now it's like I'm not a millionaire, but I'm also like not out of here. So, like, what do I do? Like, what am I like? We were having this conversation, like, what am I even supposed to be doing with my life? But I think I do have some encouraging words for some of those people because I think like a lot of us in especially millennials, like I think the 20s were really hard years for us. A lot of us like paying off student loans or just like not on our feet, not getting a good enough job. And then like we start to like hit our stride in our 30s. Like I mean like you purchased a home. I guess I got a home in my third. I mean like when I was 29 I was like dying and now I'm in my couple years in and now I'm alive again and I can kind of start thinking about the future, which is nice. But like I feel like a lot of us finally are starting to feel like we're alive. Like you're like, oh, okay. Like, I got a little bit of money to spend. I could buy some nice things. I can go on a vacation. Like I can get a home, and you start to feel like you start to get a little bit like more intertwined with like actually living a life out on earth. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, I can see a future here. Like I can see maybe some of you had kids and you're like, all right, I got to raise these kids. But I have a big but here. But now things are starting to sway back to that whole apocalyptic world you were told about in your kid. You know what I mean? Like just
Maybe it's
as
for
the
real this
stakes,
time, though.
yeah, like just as things started to seem like nothing's gonna happen, we have like war in the Middle East. We have a possible World War III. We see Putin and Xi Jinping kind of playing out the chessboard as things start to change. Joe Biden being the incompetent commander in grief, like Trump maybe making his rise back again, talk of like this digital dollar where they can track all of your expenses, what you can buy and sell, which is literally written about in Revelation. Like you're starting to see all of these chess pieces make their way across the board, and technology, like the rise of artificial intelligence as something, and as you said, like nuclear warfare is basically predicted in the Bible that basically God has Christ has to come back because they could decimate themselves. So like there's a part of me that's like, oh shoot, like are we back to that? Like are we back to like now it's like there's more to life than just like enjoying your pistachio latte at Starbucks. Like, do I have to, fight in a resistance? Like what exactly is taking place here,
I don't
So
know.
it's
It's
like none of
almost
that.
it's like too much to keep up with, though. At this point, we seriously, we've been so. Don't you feel just so exhausted since like it's
COVID.
really since 2015? I feel like ever since Trump came down that damn escalator, everything has just been so exhausting and so overwhelming and so chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people. So I just lost the Nostradamus. I guess we're not doing those predictions because my phone just died. But I mean my computer just died, the other one. Um, yeah, I definitely agree with you that it's like very exhausting. Like I definitely believe that um a lot of people have kind of tuned it out. A lot of people don't want to have these conversations. I know for myself, like I feel it's kind of meaningless. Like you feel like, why are we even worried about what's going on? Like I'm not Neo from the Matrix, as we've discussed in the past. Like I'm not here to chase the white rabbit and, find out that Morpheus is offering me the red pill or the blue pill. Like maybe I'll just take the blue pill and hang out here in the Matrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
maybe I
maybe
won't
that's
go into the
not the
pod,
yeah, maybe
you know?
so I'm saying like and I understand that, but like here's my encouragement for anybody that is at least of similar faith as a Christian, and whether that be of the Orthodox belief system or of the Roman Catholic. But I think that like one of my favorite books growing up was The Hiding Place by Corey Ten Boom. And she would end up, her family hid some of the Jewish residents of her city in the Netherlands. And she ended up going to concentration camp. Her father died, her mother died, and she was in her 40s. She was a spinster. She never married, she never had any children. But before she writes a little bit about in the beginning of the book before everything takes place, before the Gestapo moves in, before the war begins. And she and her sister were just like living their lives, and they taught like a Bible group for like special needs children or for children. I can't remember. I thought it was special needs. But like I think that like really what we just need to be doing is like reading God's word and telling other people about him, spreading the good news of the gospel, and really just it says occupy until he comes. And I think that like really that's just what we need to be doing. We need to it's okay. It
What
says
a
in
drag.
drag
I'm just
in a
saying,
drag show.
what a
I said what a drag. I thought you said in drag.
no, 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 no. Just in general, what a
It's like I
drag.
didn't
Like we
say in
just
drag.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have said any. Let you
And
you finish,
no,
please.
but you're right. No, I think it is like it's kind of boring. Like it's kind of a boring thing because I think like on January 6th, if all of those people that were protesting that day, when they said Trump was like, all right, now march peacefully
Yes,
to the Capitol
which he
building,
said that. It's on
which
video.
he
You
did say
can
that.
watch the video.
Now, if all of those people would have gathered around the Capitol building and got on their knees and prayed to the Almighty God,
That would have been a better thing to do in
that would have
retrospect.
that would have been so much more moving of a moment. And I do feel like that would have been an actual, like that would have had more, like a greater impact than what actually happened that day.
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, especially if like everybody dropped to their knees and didn't move, because what would have
Yeah.
happened ultimately is the
Just
the
for like 10
feds
minutes, five
would
minutes.
have
Yeah.
inflicted bodily harm on these people, and then they would have been the bad guys
Yeah.
unquestionably. So yeah, that would have been the move. Just drop to
Yeah.
your knees and start praying. Don't go in. But again, there was there's ample evidence that the feds were on the
Ramps.
ground in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
for anybody
Yeah.
to deny that, it's just it's so everybody lives in their own, there's only one
Persuasion,
reality.
their own bias. Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one reality, yet everybody lives in a separate world and has their own
Their own
version of
matrix.
reality when there's really only one truth at the end of the day, right? It can only be the truth is the truth is the
Yeah.
truth, right?
Yeah, yeah. I just think that that would have made such a greater impact. And like, that's really what, like, so many people want to enforce a change and a direction back towards like morality, back towards God, back to like Judeo-Christian values, if you want to call it that. But like, in
It's hip
my,
again now. It's hip.
it's hip, but we can't enforce these things. It says in the Bible, it says that if my people will humble themselves and seek my name, seek me and pray and repent of their wicked ways, then I will bless their land, right? Like I'm paraphrasing the Bible verse there, but really what God calls us to do is to humble ourselves and to repent, not of not of Hunter Biden's sins, not of Joe Biden's sins, not of Trump's sins, but of Karen's sins. You know what I'm saying? Like, God's not asking us to be all worried about the drag show that the kids are going. If they want to take their kids to a drag show, let them do it. That's their problem. Don't take your, if you don't want to take your own kid, don't take your own kids. But I'm saying pray for those people. Like, that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to worry about your own. There's so many people out there, there's so many voices out there that are screaming about all of these, perversions that have so much perversion and so much wickedness within their own hearts and their own homes. And like what God has called us to do is to worry, to pluck out the sins within our own eye and not others' eyes. And like that's all people are worried about. And that will see real change. Like if you want to see change, start with yourself. Colin's
I
not making.
Well, no, I
You're
I
like,
actually
bitch,
do
I'm
agree
not
with that.
changing.
I was just thinking of a side thing at the one time where I was complaining about an issue with my eye, and my father goes, "Well, pluck it out." That's what the Bible says to do. Just pluck it out.
He
But
took that very literally.
yeah,
He's right though. I mean, in a
I
sense,
want to
but
know. I want to know what does L. Ron Hubbard say about the current times that we're in? Because have you heard a peep from anybody in the Scientology camp about anything going on in the world, like in the past couple years? You haven't heard a peep from them. What do they know? They have to
yeah.
be prepping
What does
something.
Tom know? What is Tom Cruise, the Holy One? When is Surrey Cruise going to take over as the anointed one? That's
Because
what
they
we
haven't
need to
said
know.
anything. Have you heard a peep from a single Scientologist
I
about any
think
world events that have gone on? I
You know
haven't.
what? Lisa Remini has really put them. That's her name, right? Leah Remini, is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Leah Remini has
Yeah, Leah.
really silenced a lot of the Scientology just community.
Yeah,
I told you before that I have a first edition copy of Dianetics. I will
I'm
move on to,
jealous.
I should probably brush up. I should just like every episode, I should just like read a passage.
I don't think there's any
Dianetics.
harm in it. I would like to know, like, could you
What's
imagine
in
if I
there?
read Dianetics and I was like, Karen, let me tell you, this is what I've been searching for.
Yeah, it worked for
My,
Tom. It's gonna work for me. Yeah, it should be, I do want to say we were supposed to talk. We did, as you per usual, we basically veered off topics completely. But I don't think it would be an episode of Re-Education Camp if I did not mention the Holy One, our Redeemer, the Taylor Swift, and say that my
oh,
prediction for Taylor is that she will be engaged this year to Travis Kelce.
oh,
That is
absolutely.
2024. Yes.
I mean that was almost like one of those prearranged marriages, like a deep state prearranged marriage. Because again,
Just
this
drop the water.
this is this is all
Sorry.
for this is all for voting purposes. Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour is for voter registration. The open borders are for voter registration. I
Yeah.
think here's a prediction for you. I think that now correct me if I'm using the wrong terminology here. I'm a little rough around the edges sometimes, but I think that what Biden's going to do is he's going to declare amnesty for anybody that comes into the country illegally, and he's going to say that they're all allowed to vote, and that's essentially how he's going to clinch this election.
Hey, I mean, it would be pretty wild, but that
Can he do
could be the
that? Can he just
case.
say, like, you know what, everybody who comes in, you're legal automatically, like, and he makes everybody that's here legally, like, he just waves the wand and says you're legal
I
now,
don't
don't worry about it.
I don't know if he himself could do it without like Congress or if it would be, one of those things that would get tied up in the courts. But they're definitely working on it. They're working on, just eroding our vote. I mean, like, let's be real. Let's be real, people. Let's wake up a little bit and realize that the influence of the almighty dollar in the dollar we trust has so much sway in these elections. It's like your vote has already been stolen. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's like the dollar is so like talks so what is that old saying? Like money, money talks.
money
Money,
talks and BS walks
yeah.
is the old
Well,
saying.
pretty much let's put it this way. Money talks and your little vote that you make at the voter machine walks. Okay, it doesn't go anywhere. Like it's all money, and that's all. I mean, really, the open borders are all money. It's all money. It's all Republicans trying to get cheap labor and erode your salary on one side, and it's the Democrats trying to buy votes on the other. It's like everything, and that's why Trump. Like, let's be real, that's why Trump won because he was the only person out there saying, no, we got to close the borders. And here's why. Yeah, I don't pay taxes. That's because you wrote the rules that say I don't have to pay taxes. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like he just told us what was going on. And
He's the
people were
most
just like,
honest president of all
yeah,
time
yeah,
that we've ever
exactly.
had.
I mean, I kind of stick by him on his S-hole countries thing. I think that like shouldn't have been such a scandal. I was like, he's just calling it how it is. Like,
Yeah.
but but yeah, so I think that we'll just have to wait and see what happens this year. There's a lot to happen. Now, maybe as we close out this all important start to 2024, we could talk about maybe our own predictions. I think I want to start with saying I predict that this year we will. I already see you getting very like just really excited to mention any predictions. But I believe this year, in addition to you moving on from Elizabeth Hurley, which seems like that's already happened, we will be invited on Steve Bannon's War Room. We will appear in person.
And I'll lock eyes with Natalie Winters, and we'll just be like, we'll know at that moment, like, this is what I've been searching for my
Yes,
entire
yeah.
life, right?
Yes, yeah. So that'll take place. And we will lead the resistance with Bannon. We'll be like the the right and left hand
You better be
of
careful
Steve
what you say
Bannon.
here. We'll be getting into
Yes.
the feds will be pounding, through our door in the middle of the night while we're in our
Yeah.
skivvies and
My
putting us in
husband will be like,
handcuffs.
"What the heck? Who are these people at the door? They're looking for you."
I
What
say,
did
well,
you say on
honey,
that show?
did you listen to the last podcast? You should. Clearly, you didn't, because you should know. You should have seen the writing on the wall.
Yes, this is all fun, but I mean, I would definitely go on Steve Bannon's show because as I think we've discussed privately, like how big of a fan am of Steve Bannon. There's a few
I love
people that
sloppy
I'm a
Steve.
big fan. Yeah, I like Steve Bannon. I like Mel Gibson, and
Yes.
yes, there's a few. I'm trying to think of some other folks. We did Shia LaBeouf. Um, trying to think. I actually, oddly enough, this is going to be really out in left field. I just saw a clip of the old Rosie O'Donnell show, which was on in the 1990s.
I
And I have to say,
remember it very well.
I loved Rosie O'Donnell's show. We were just talking about Tom Cruise. I
She was so
remember
cool.
she was so cool. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm a fan of Rosie O'Donnell. So I kind of like people that live on the edge. They're a little raw.
Well,
They're
that's
just
why you like Hunter so
themselves.
much. You
That's why I like
kind of
Hunter. Yeah,
you
you're
want to
right.
live vicariously through
Through
him.
Hunter. Yeah, I mean, come on. Like I do think that a lot of Americans enjoy Hunter Biden equally as much as I do. I think that there are some people that are really uptight and they're like they take it way too seriously and they're like Hunter was doing this and that and it's like what do you think Donald Trump Jr. is up to or that other one that looks a little weird, like what's he doing? What's he
Honestly, I
doing
think
right
he's
now?
probably just hunting. Really, I think he's
Yeah,
kind of
you're right.
boring. I don't think he's
Yeah.
as exciting as Hunter.
He's just
Um,
hunting endangered species.
right.
Yeah,
My
he's just
my
out there
favorite
looking for hunting dolphins.
my favorite photo of Hunter is the one where he's standing like in his tidy whities with a scarf and like shades on. You know the one I'm talking about. It's like an iconic image at this point.
Oh yeah, it's
I love that
beautiful.
photo so much.
I like there's this one of him like painting. This is like in his like later when he tried to get like reinvent himself and he
Hmm.
like looks really serious and he's like painting. Actually little trivia, but my face, how you get to pick like a background image. I should probably not mention this. I'll probably get like some kind of copyright claim. But you know how you get to pick like a Facebook cover photo? My cover photo is a original Hunter Biden
Is it?
painting. That's yeah.
I'm gonna have to go check it out after we get off here.
You'll like it. Yeah, you'll like, oh yeah. You like you should just write something on it, like my favorite artist too.
Yeah, well,
Great
he is one of
taste.
my him and Thomas Kincaid are up there for me among the great Christian painters of our time.
Yeah, definitely. That's so like white male chauvinist of you to just praise two white male painters. I can't
I
believe like
know,
get
I know. I need
you
to
need
branch
to
out a little bit.
yeah, you need to definitely. I like the lady whoever I don't know if it's a woman, but do you ever see that hideous painting of Michelle Obama in the portrait gallery? And
No.
her hands are like huge, like they're like way bigger.
Well, is that not accurate? You know what? I
Accurate.
should stop.
No,
I'm
her
not gonna say anything.
shoulders are pretty big, but her hands, like the artist is pure. Just, I mean, you would have been better off with the original Hunter Biden portrait of Michelle at that point, but
Which is basically,
needless.
see, like all he does is just throw like paint at the canvas, like Jackson Pollock. Like that's like, yeah. Isn't it something how like art at a certain point was like infiltrated by the CIA to basically just be like disgusting and
Yeah. Have
reprehensible?
you have
Like,
you ever read like the communists, like the 10 communist points or whatever? Like they have like yeah, maybe we should go over those next episode to like, but one
yeah,
of them is to like destroy art and
yeah,
just to
make
make it like
architecture look just really just stupid and
yeah, yeah,
unattractive, but like try and pass it off as normal.
sophisticated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Hmm.
So I say that we will be on with Steve Bannon by year's end, by the blessed year 2025, before the dark ages begin.
Okay.
And what is your prediction for our show specifically for
For
2024?
for our show specifically, well, I mean,
Or for us,
I
yeah.
would like to be on an episode of Timcast. That would be nice. Like me,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
I want like a specific crew though, because there's certain
Yeah, I
people
want to
that
be in the RV specifically. Like if I'm
you know,
not, I don't want to be in the studio. I want to be in the RV.
I don't know if
Yeah.
he's gonna utilize that again or not. He only did that
Really?
once for that Texas episode when Rogan came on and Malice was there and Alex. But I want like I want Luke Radowski to be there for sure.
Yeah, I
Ian
know him from
Crossland
back in
has
the
to be
day, so
there.
I'd like him. Yeah. Yeah. I was Kanye West in the RV or in the studio?
He was in the studio for 5 minutes until
In West Virginia?
yeah, well, Maryland, really. Maryland is
Maryland. Okay.
actually technically where his studio is located. Yep.
That's pretty amazing that Kanye West went there though, because he seems like the kind of person that makes plans and then like immediately changes them.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
he did when he found
He
out that Tim
did.
wasn't going to let him go off on certain subjects.
Topics. Yeah.
Yeah, certain topics. He stormed out of there, and Milo was like, "I'll be right back. I have to check on
Yeah.
him." We never saw Milo again
Oh,
after
I
that.
like Milo too. He's one of my faves also.
I enjoy Milo.
I
I do.
I want to say that I want to predict that we will be on the Timcast show by year's end, and it will be in the RV, and I will storm off when Tim will not allow me to express my support for Hunter Biden 2024. And that is how that will go. You will stay and hang out with them, but I will
Oh,
storm
good.
off in Kanye in Ye fashion when Tim questions me on my support for Hunter Biden. He goes, "Well, what about this? What about when Hunter did this? When Hunter did that?" And I'm going to say, "You clearly don't understand, Tim." And I'm just going to walk out of the RV, and you will say,
Are
and
you
they'll
familiar? Do you know Hannah Claire Brimlow from his show? She's one of the writers.
I mean, if
She's
if yeah, maybe if I saw her, so
look
I'm
up a
not.
video of her. I guarantee you, you'll be like, "Oh, Colin, yeah, this is the
This
person
is
for
the
you." She's
woman.
so
This is
yeah. I guarantee it. Go look up Hannah Claire Brimlow. Watch just like a clip
okay.
of her
Okay.
speaking, and 100% and be like, "Oh, Colin, yeah, obviously this is
I don't know though.
who you
She's
should be
similar
with."
to you though.
It'll make sense when you
Okay.
see her
It'll
and
make
you watch
sense.
it. It'll
Okay.
all make sense.
Okay.
You're like, "Oh,
Well,
Colin,
she'll
yeah,
also be there in the RV. So I will
I
storm
hope so."
off and that'll give you time to connect with Hannah. And then I
Yeah,
will come back. And by then you'll have exchanged numbers and you'll have plans
she's
made.
a good woman of
Yeah.
strong moral Christian fiber,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I will have stormed off to have contacted Hunter Biden and to purchase one of his collector's um items of art.
But one
And
last
yeah.
prediction. I do think the
Yeah, I'm
Democrat
all here for the
candidate
prediction.
it is going to be Joe Biden. There's going to be no replacement. I think he is going to hang in there. I really do. I think he's going to hang in there until the bitter end. I don't think there's going to be what could they do? What could they do at this point?
Yeah.
It's already been
I mean, really, why in that God's name are they keeping him around if he's not going to be in? Like, you understand
right.
what I'm saying? Like, if
Right.
that's not the intention, like the only way they will wheel him out in a wheelchair and they'll be like, FDR also is in a wheelchair, you scumbags. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody else, they'll be like twitching and they'll be like, look at FDR. He was making those fireside chats and
Yeah.
he's making fireside tweets like a good Democratic socialist should. So
Hmm.
like anybody that has anything to say about it, they'll act like you're being an ableist and they'll be like, you sick ableist on the right have a problem with this. Our greatest president was in a wheelchair. And then they'll show you that like George Washington had like wooden teeth or something. And they'll be like, you all just want to be the best. And I mean, Trump just keeps looking better somehow. So I mean,
Yeah.
like
He's just
literally physically, it's
yeah.
it's almost
He
disturbing.
gets the amount of energy that I mean feel how think about how exhausted you feel after just like a
waking
plane
up.
ride from Pennsylvania to Florida, which is like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like you're depleted for like multiple days after that one
Yeah.
2 hour plane ride. Where with him, he's just, jet setting, everywhere, multiple states and multiple cities in the span of like 6 hours, and all just being fueled on Big Macs and fries and Coke. That's a real marvel of like modern science.
Yeah, I know they should be like Trump should just give this all up so they could just study him, like study and understand like how in the world. I think he's just fueled by ego though. Like I really do. Like we
Yeah.
were talking about January 6th earlier, and I do just want to say that like I do not believe Trump should be charged, or at least he should not be he should not be found guilty of insurrection any way, shape, or form. I just want to put that out there. I do not believe he's an insurrectionist. But big but there, you have to agree, just from like psychology standpoint, that Trump was like, oh yeah, when he saw them go into the
Well,
Capitol.
when I
He loved it. Like, come
I
on, like let's
first
be
got
real.
wind. I first thought that something was going to go down when he made the original tweet announcing that he was going to be speaking, because he said something like "Be there, should be wild," or "It's going to be wild." I was like, "Oh shit, this is going to turn into some sort of nonsense." Like I figured as soon as he
Everybody,
made that tweet.
there were so many pundits, and I really wasn't paying attention to the news at the time. I had been in the hospital for like 3 weeks or whatever, like a couple days before that. But the point of the matter is, there were a lot of conservative voices out there that kind of like knew it wasn't going to go well. Like even
Yeah.
I have a family member who was there that day, and they got out of there early. They're like, we saw Trump speak, and then we left. Like there were like murmurings going on that like it was going to go bad. So to me, it's like I don't know, like so I don't know exactly what was going on, what the conversation was happening, but there was a lot of people that were like, okay, this has to be peaceful, people, like keep it peaceful. But what I'm just saying is Trump did tell them to be peaceful. He did not tell them to do anything what took place. But his ego was enjoying every second of it when they went into the Capitol. He was like, yeah, get him, get Nancy. He was
Could be. I
get
don't know.
Pence.
I'm almost
I'm not saying
hesitant to
he
comment on it
I'm
in
not
this
saying
climate, shall we say.
okay, I'm not saying that he endorsed it. I'm
No,
just saying that there was a part of Trump,
I know what you're saying.
that little egomaniac part that was like,
It could
you're
have
there
been.
for me. Oh yeah, I know you don't want to, I know you're not as an extremist as I am, as
Well,
I profess to be, but I will go out there on a limb and say Trump is not an insurrectionist. He should not be prosecuted as such, but part of it's kind of like when somebody you don't like gets fat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm.
or something, you know what I mean? They lose their job and you're like, yeah, should have been made fun of me in the third grade, you bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like saying that you,
Whenever I hear that an old teacher passed on, I always think about like some sort of traumatic moment that I had with them where they yelled at me about something, and I think, well, shouldn't have
yeah,
traumatized the young child.
yeah, shouldn't.
I hope the devil's treating you real
That's
well right
what
now.
I'm saying. I'm not saying that Trump was like gung ho on it. I'm just saying it's like
I know.
that little bit of you, and then you're just like, yeah, you live in a trailer park. Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have been mean to me, on the playground. Like maybe you should have been a little bit of a better person. And that's what I'm saying. Like there's
Yeah.
that there's that little part of us that is that mean, despicable creature we spoke about, as the Winter Warlock
The
said.
Winter Warlock.
We need to take one foot in front of the other towards the right path and not be so vengeful, not be so despicable. But it's hard. It's hard to truly change and not, be gleeful when we hear that a former teacher has passed on to another realm.
Yes. I can't describe the feeling when I get that news, and then I think back like, I remember when you
Shouldn't
made me
have, shouldn't have,
cry.
yeah. Shouldn't have scolded me for forgetting my ruler that
Hope
day.
it's fun getting raped by the devil for all eternity. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I
We
wish all of
kid.
them well.
This is all. We wish everybody well. We love everyone. Um, we're especially we are thinking about everybody that's in the DC gulag this weekend, and we take everything seriously on this show. Everything is sacred,
Hmm.
and this is, just a really, we're just love and light is all we're about, correct?
Peace, like Ringo says, peace and love, peace and love. No more autographs. Peace and
Yeah.
love.
Peace and love. Well, I'm pretty sure that no one has asked for our autographs, but peace and
Oh,
love
just wait until the end of this year after we appear
after
on
we're on,
Timcast and
yeah, and
Bannon and
Banner War Room. Yeah.
Infowars.
Yeah, and info. I didn't say InfoWars yet. I'm thinking that's a 20. We have to have, you have to always have another goalpost to keep you going. So I think InfoWars is the next year.
That's the
This
brass
year's
ring, really.
goal, yeah, that's the brass ring. After
Being
that,
in
it's
the
like,
Austin, Texas studio with
yeah,
Alex and the crew, that's like you've made it at that
yeah,
point, you
yeah,
know.
exactly. But we're just gonna go for the like the medium-sized fish this year. That's the big fish. That's what, that's just our predictions that are probably never going to come to fruition in our lifetimes, but we have something to look forward to and something to strive for so that we can be disappointed come the end of the year. So that's what I just want, to so we can look back at the end of this year and be like, well, we didn't do that, but at least we recorded most weeks, so that's you know
Well, stranger things have happened, you know.
stranger things have happened. That is very true. That is very true. But until next time, I hope that you like and subscribe so that I can get braces that my parents did not pay for as a teenager and I'm still a little salty over. So yeah, I mean, like and subscribe so I can get as much plastic surgery as Jordan Peterson's daughter.
And
And
Gwen
because that's what
Stefani.
we're here for. And Gwen Stefani. Like and subscribe so we can get famous enough to sell our souls to the devil, please.
Yes, please give us a follow on YouTube, on Rumble. You can follow us on X, even though I haven't really
Yeah.
posted one of our episodes on there in a long time. I should probably get on that.
Yeah,
But
Colin and I are going to get on things this year. That
yeah,
is what we are going to do.
this is
Correct.
going to be a year of change and growth and progress and just good vibes all around. So let's
Yep.
put a little bow on the first episode of Reeducation Camp for 2024, and we shall see you fine folks right here next week.